In the heart of a city marked by inequality, where fear and distrust often intertwine, a black woman finds herself at the center of an injustice that could have left her powerless. But instead, Helena transforms pain into a cry of resistance. When the police burst into her home looking for something that doesn't exist, she doesn't become just a victim. She becomes a powerful voice of protest against a system that has long oppressed her. With courage and resilience, she decides she will not allow her dignity to be trampled. This is the story of a woman who, against all odds, rises to fight not only for her own justice but for the justice of all women who, like her, face discrimination and violence. Get ready for a journey of overcoming, revenge, and, above all, the unwavering quest for justice. After the invasion, Helena's life took an unexpected turn. The memories of that night still weighed heavily on her mind, but instead of being crushed, she decided it was time to fight. Motivated by the injustice she had suffered, she began to connect with other women in the community who also faced discrimination and violence. Together, they formed a support group where they shared stories, experiences, and strengthened each other. The atmosphere transformed into a safe space, filled with empathy and understanding, where each woman felt dignified and respected. The resilience they displayed became a contagious force, and soon, more women joined the cause. But Helena knew this was just the beginning of a bigger battle. As the meetings became frequent, Helena realized her fight was not just for personal justice but for a change in the perception of the entire community. Every encouraging word exchanged with those women fortified her. And so, from her own pain, Helena began to create a platform for the voices of those who had been silenced. Stories of overcoming spread like wildfire, and soon the group became a symbol of resistance against discrimination. But amidst all this strength, Helena felt something bigger was yet to come. What would be the next step to truly impact their lives? As the meetings grew more frequent, Helena realized her fight was not just for personal justice but for a change in the perception of the entire community. Every encouraging word exchanged with those women fortified her. And so, from her own pain, Helena began to create a platform for the voices of those who had been silenced. Stories of overcoming spread like wildfire, and soon the group became a symbol of resistance against discrimination. But amidst all this strength, Helena felt something bigger was yet to come. What would be the next step to truly impact their lives? The event that Helena organized was a milestone in the community. With the voices of so many women united, the message of resilience and overcoming resonated throughout the city. People began to mobilize, creating a movement that challenged discrimination and demanded change. Helena became a central figure in this movement, recognized not only for her bravery but for her ability to inspire others to stand up against injustice. However, with attention also came the challenge. She began receiving threats and faced attempts to silence her. This only motivated her further to fight, reminding her of the dignity that was at stake. As the struggle for justice intensified, Helena began receiving support from human rights organizations. Together, they began to strategize on how to confront the system that perpetuated discrimination. She knew that change wouldn't happen overnight, but each step taken was a step toward a more just future. With community support, pressure on the authorities was mounting. However, fear still lingered in the air, as the revenge of some who felt threatened could be brutal. Helena and her companions were aware that their struggle would be fraught with challenges and dangers. How would they handle this growing resistance? The battle for justice culminated in a public hearing, where Helena had the opportunity to speak about her experience and the injustices her community faced. In front of a full room, she passionately narrated her story, each word filled with emotion and sincerity. The indignation and pain she felt were palpable, and her words resonated with the souls of everyone present. Helena made sure to emphasize that the struggle was not just hers but of all those who had been silenced. The moment of her presentation became a turning point, and as applause rang out, she knew her fight for dignity and justice had only just begun. But what would happen after that hearing? The public hearing was just the beginning of an unexpected turn. Helena's words echoed not only in the room but on social media, gaining attention from local and national media. The story of her fight for justice spread like wildfire, uniting people from different backgrounds who felt touched by the injustice she faced. This resulted in a wave of support and solidarity that pressured the authorities to act. However, with this growing attention, Helena's opponents were unwilling to let her message of dignity and overcoming thrive without a fight. The climate of tension heightened, and she knew she could face violent backlash. Helena and her allies were aware that their struggle would be fraught with challenges and dangers. How would they handle this growing resistance? Amidst this pressure, Helena began to receive messages of support from influential figures and celebrities who joined her cause. This visibility propelled the movement to new heights, and protest and awareness events were organized in several cities. The movement was no longer just local. It had become a symbol of resistance against discrimination and violence. With each new ally, the hope for a better future grew. However, Helena knew that victory would not come easily. The system had its deep claws, and every advance came with fierce struggle. What could she do to ensure that this wave of change wouldn't be in vain? Helena's fight culminated in a meeting with community leaders and government representatives, where she and her allies presented their demands for reforms and justice. With courage, she spoke about the pain her community faced and the urgent need for change. The energy in the room was palpable. Change was within reach. After an intense debate, the representatives agreed to initiate a series of hearings to address the issues raised by Helena and her movement. It was a moment of victory, but the struggle was far from over. With her unwavering resilience and determination, Helena felt that justice was finally drawing near. What would she do next to ensure this moment wasn't just a temporary triumph? With the promise of hearings to discuss reforms, Helena's life and that of her community began to change. The women who had once been silenced now had their voices heard in a space that had previously seemed inaccessible. During the meetings, they shared their stories of discrimination and injustice, and slowly, the authorities began to recognize the system's flaws. Helena watched the transformation with a mix of pride and hope, but she also knew it was vital to maintain the pressure. The resilience they displayed was key to ensuring that this new phase didn't turn into an empty promise. The fight for dignity and justice continued, and each small step was a victory in itself. What challenges would Helena and her community face next? As the hearings progressed, changes began to materialize. New policies were implemented, and the community came together in celebration. Helena, now recognized as a leader and advocate for rights, saw her efforts transform into something greater than she had ever imagined. The stories of overcoming that had once been whispers now resonated loud and clear, and dignity was finally being restored. With each new policy, the hope for a more just future grew. However, Helena knew that true change would require ongoing commitment. How could she inspire others to remain engaged in this fight for justice? Ultimately, Helena's fight was not just about the past. It was about the future. She committed to continuing her work, educating future generations on the importance of justice and equality. Her experience had transformed into a journey of empowerment, and she knew that every woman who joined her was contributing to a legacy of change. With community support and new policies in place, Helena believed that justice could prevail. As she prepared to share her story with the world, what had begun as a fight against injustice transformed into a movement for dignity and equality. What if Helena's story were the catalyst we all needed to confront our own injustices in life? Helena's story teaches us that the fight for justice is often arduous but not impossible. By facing injustice and discrimination, she not only reclaimed her dignity, but also ignited a flame of hope in her community. This story serves as a reminder that even when life pushes us down, resilience can lift us up. Each of us can become an agent of change, committing to listen, support, and act. Just like Helena, we need to unite to challenge unjust norms and fight for a world where everyone's dignity is respected. So, as you reflect on what you've read, ask yourself, how can I contribute to this fight? Don't let the flame of justice extinguish. Be inspired and become part of this journey. Subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications for more stories of overcoming and resilience that challenge us to fight for a better future. Remember, together, we are stronger, and we can turn injustice into opportunities for all.
If this story has moved you, we'd love to hear from you. Share your experiences or let us know if you've been through something similar. Leave a comment below and join in the conversation. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on more timeless tales like this one.